The idea for the hunger strike, perhaps it was inevitable that particular idea would come to me, being an activist from Manchester, where hunger strikes have been used so famously and effectively. It is part of our heritage here, as part of the suffragette movement. But also, it's just as simple as we've had a year of protests, a year of direct action, a year of petitions, a year of lobbying, a year of resistance that is just falling on deaf ears. So what I really wanted to do was take an action that showed that not only is this our responsibility, very much so, but to make people question, why do you feel like your life and your comfort and your convenience is more important than the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in Palestine and Lebanon? How are you accepting that your taxes are destroying their culture, their town, their families? You shouldn't be okay with that, and you should act and you should resist with whatever you can. And if the only thing I have left to use, and the only precious thing to me is my body at this stage, then that is what I will use to resist. That is what I will use to make my disgust and my resistance to UK complicity known. The point that I would really like to get to is the UK government having to acknowledge the will of the people, because this is supposed to be a democracy. That is a bit of a joke at the moment, because they know for a fact the majority of people do not support their taxes and our resources going to Israeli war crimes. The other objective I really want to achieve is just waking up British people to their responsibility. I want this message to get out to the people who either don't know or refuse to acknowledge that it's our money and our weapons and our responsibility. And if I do feel like what I'm doing is getting that message out there, is getting people engaged who were not engaged before, then that is also a really valuable achievement and goal to me. So the Palestinian cause is something I think I've been aware of in the back of my consciousness for a long time, like most English people, but I've spent my whole life just being told it's complicated, there's no solution, and it's nothing to do with me. It's only really within the last couple of years that I've got a lot more engaged with the Palestinian cause, more involved, through learning more about it. And I got particularly activated after the events of October 7th and just everything that has happened since, because that really, really opened my eyes to the reality of that situation. In terms of what I would do if it gets to the point that my health is really in danger, I still have a point to make, because British people are still not activated. They are still, by and large, not acting, and they're not doing their moral and human duty. And until that point is made, then I have a duty to keep going. If what I'm doing is effective, if what I'm doing is reaching people, then I have a duty to keep doing it, because the stakes really, really are just that high, not just for Palestine, for the UK, the soul and the identity of the UK, and also the world. The mask of the West is slipping off. The trust in any politician or in Western politics in general is sliding away, and that might be something they cannot ever undo, and it is because of Palestine. And it's because the people know the truth. The people are done with lies. They're not as naive as they used to be. So yes, I do think this will ultimately change everything. As part of my activism, I did run in the general elections locally, and I ran against Jeff Smith, the Labour politician, who is a man who was part of MAP. He went to Palestine on a humanitarian mission. He knows exactly what the situation is there and has been always. And he abstained on the ceasefire vote still. And more than that, he had reports from his own constituents who were doctors in Gaza that they were the victims of targeted war crimes. Their medical units were purposefully targeted by Israeli soldiers. He had that information. He did nothing with it. He denied it. And why I ran for election is because he was the majority candidate. This was someone people are viewing as the best option for this country, someone with that absolute lack of integrity, lack of moral fibre, lack of backbone, and just someone who is corrupted and is going to prioritise the party whip over everything. And I don't agree with that. And if there is no one on that stand who is standing up for Palestine and also the UK people, because the money going to Israel could be going to our communities, if no one is doing that, if no one is willing to do that, then I'm going to do that.